Uluslararası önemli konuklarımızdan biri ilk olarak sahneye alacak. FIBA Basketbol Şampiyonlar Ligi'nin yetkili isimlerinden Chief Commercial Officer Benjamin Gauthier bizlere Avrupa basketbolundaki son gelişmeleri aktaracak. Kendisini sahneye davet ediyoruz.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Benjamin Gauthier. I'm Chief Commercial Officer of the Basketball Champions League. And it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to start as well this day 2 of the Brand and Sports Summit. Today in the session, I will introduce you to the Basketball Champions League, our mission, our vision, our activities, especially in Turkey. We have 5 clubs, as well as our audience, our engagement, our reach. Before I dive into the Basketball Champions League, I would like to focus on one word, the first word of the Basketball Champions League, which is basketball. Basketball is the second most global sport in the world, just after football. It's fair to say that basketball has no border. It is a truly global sport. If you look at the photo here, which is a basketball homemade court in Belize, Central America, that shows the power of basketball. Whether you are in the Americas, whether you are in Europe, Asia, everyone plays basketball everywhere. And you don't need a lot to play basketball. You can make your own hoop, you can have a basketball and just play the games. That's what's the beauty of basketball. If I talk a bit about numbers around basketball, around the world there's 450 million players. And when I say people that play basketball, it could be recreationally or at competitive level, in clubs. There's over 1 billion followers around the world. That's what makes basketball the second most global sport in the world and so popular. Obviously, you can see it from a TikTok video here where basketball is played everywhere. And I think that's the beauty of basketball. And when I focus a bit more on basketball, I think what is important to understand is there are 2, like football, type of competition. There's national teams, and the fact is there's more than 200 national basketball teams in the world. I mean, similar to obviously what you have with the National Olympic Committee in the Olympic environment. I mean, you have Team USA basketball, you have the Turkish basketball team, French, etc., etc. And that is very well structured. You have the Continental Tournament, being the Eurobasket if you are in Europe. You have the World Cup, and then you have the Olympic Games. What I will focus today on is actually the national leagues competition. There's over 100 national leagues in the world. I will name a few, but you have the NBA, you have the Turkish Basketball League, you have the Liga ACB in Spain. But that, obviously, there's not a unified structure for basketball club competition. And that is actually the role of the Basketball Champions League. Our vision lies in those 3 words, very simple for everyone to remember: unifying, partnering, and delivering. And I will go into each word, obviously, and spend more detail on those. But when I talk about unifying, is actually unifying the basketball club competition around the world. It's literally making sure that there is one structure from the National League to the Continental League to the International with one trophy, one competition, the best teams, the best players around the world. That's what we stand for, the Basketball Champions League. How do we do that? Well, by partnering with leagues and clubs. We actually are a league that has been made with and for the national leagues and the clubs. I haven't yet addressed the fans, because nowadays it's critical, essential to be fan-centric. Obviously, and that's when we see that, obviously that's what we do. We want to enhance the fan engagement. That's why we're putting a structure to basketball club competition, so that we can grow the audience of basketball, and deliver the best international club competition across the world. That's why we are unifying club competition, partnering with leagues and clubs, delivering the best club competition across the world. I said we are partnering with leagues and clubs. Well, I think there's no better place to partner than Turkey when we look at the clubs that we have in our competition. I will start with two teams that actually won this week and are qualified for the Sweet 16 for the next round, which are Galatasaray and Tofaş. Very strong brand, very strong teams with a great identity and a great fan base. I will then obviously speak about Karşıyaka, who was the finalist of the competition last year, is in good place as well to go to the next phase, and obviously end with Beşiktaş and Darüşşafaka. Again, in good position to go to the next phase, the play-in, which will start in January. I only mentioned Turkish team here, but I think it's fair to say that we actually have a range of team that speaks and that strong brand from an international side as well. If I take Basketball Champions League Americas, we have Flamengo, we have Boca Juniors, we have the Club of Nacional in Uruguay. If I take, obviously, other countries in Europe, we have Treviso in Italy, we have Unicaja Malaga in Spain. That shows, obviously, the relevance and the high quality and competitive aspect of the competition. That is, obviously, the vision that I just talked about. How do we achieve that vision? What is the strategy? Well, again, three simple words: optimize, develop, and innovate. Optimize the competition and the asset we have. I mentioned Basketball Champions League Europe, which I will talk about. Basketball Champions League Americas, there will be a specific slide around it. And then we have the FIBA Intercontinental Cup, which I will explain further in the presentation. That's the asset we have. But we need to develop as well to new territories. Obviously, we're mentioning Americas, we're mentioning Europe. There's other territories that we should have competition in and that we're looking into. And then innovation. It's part of the DNA of basketball. So we'll always need to find ways to innovate. Our strategy is also to put the fans at the center. We want them to have actually access to the pinnacle of the club competition. And we are proposing a global offering because we are across the world with local touch points to the clubs. And what we provide to fans are content, events, like the Final Four of the competition, and experiences. Because nowadays, it's not enough to just be at the basketball games. You need to ensure your fans go through the journey, is excited to book his ticket, is coming to the ticket, is having activities in the city center, and then obviously end up with a great basketball game. So that's the way we do it, through obviously partnership with leagues, partnership with clubs, so that we aggregate all the audience. And on one side, we have the partnership that obviously will reach out to the fans. On the other side, we will have a local engagement, global and local engagement with the fans. So if I take an example, and I will obviously, before starting talking about the basketball competition that you're going to see on the screen, I will start with taking a parallel with football. I know football is quite famous in Turkey. If you do well in your country, in your domestic leagues, you then advance to the UEFA Champions League. If you win the UEFA Champions League, you advance to the FIFA Club World Cup. That is a very similar structure that we are putting in place at the Basketball Champions League. Starting again with the clubs, and here the 5 Turkish clubs already mentioned. They play in their league, the Turkish league, but we work with obviously other leagues, the French league, the German league here, also the NBA G League, which is part of the Intercontinental Cup. You win your league, obviously, and the league is based on sporting merits. You have good result, you then qualify for the Basketball Champions League. Being in Europe, in Americas, in territories to be further developed. We also have, and have a specific section about it, EuroLeague Women. And then there's the Basketball African League, which is a joint venture between FIBA and the NBA. And the winner, obviously, of the Basketball African League as the winner of the Basketball Champions League Europe and the Basketball Champions League Americas come and play the Intercontinental Cup. That is the structure of basketball club competition. I will, show why also it's the right time for the Basketball Champions League to be in the market. As I mentioned, it's been 6 years. We are in the 6th season of the Basketball Champions League Europe. The first 5 seasons has been focused on delivering the best club competition, working with the leagues, working with the clubs, what doesn't make sense for them, and making sure that operationally speaking, from a logistics side, we deliver at a very high quality and competitive level. This is done. This is checked. We are improving day and days after days. But the focus has been there. And the quality of the competition, if you have obviously the opportunity to go see a Toffers game, a Gauthier game, you will see the quality of the competition and the delivery on site. So now to make it even more to the next level, it's important that we actually focus on brand. Focus on the right marketing partners to help us grow the games, grow the audience, so that we can deliver content, we enhance promotion, and ultimately reach out to the fans together. So that's why we are at the right time there. The Basketball Champions League in Europe was created in 2016. And I mentioned it was created with and for the leagues and the clubs. It's actually a partnership with 11 European leagues. And they are all stakeholders. So again, it's important for us to make sure that we listen to them, that we work with them to deliver the best European competition. We then launched the first season of Basketball Champions League Americas in 2019. And 2020, obviously, we created FIBA Club Co., which where we received, obviously, the support of investors that believed in the vision of unifying basketball club competition. 2021, 6th season of the Basketball Champions League that we started in September with the qualifier round and October for the regular season. And 3rd season of the Basketball Champions League Americas. A few numbers just for Europe. Across the 5 years, we were involved in over 30 plus countries, 40,000 plus players, 44,000 plus players, 2.5 million fans on Facebook, etc., etc. I will spend more time on number later on. So now it's important that I dive into the Basketball Champions League, and you can see some of the highlights of the competition of the first part on the screen. We have, if you include qualifiers, 30 countries that were involved this year. I don't see continental properties involving so many countries in Europe. 52 clubs, 18 national champions, over 200 plus games in 9 months of competition. Regular season starting in October, and then Final Four in May. That is the Basketball Champions League, and as you can see, there's great highlights that I will obviously let you have a look at some point. I said it, we finished the competition with the Final Four, which happens in May. It was in Russia last year. This is the pinnacle of the competition. 4 teams over a weekend. And we engage fans, 3 days, bring excitement, emotion, intensity. That is what the Final Four is about, and it will happen in May 2022. We actually look forward to that marquee event and milestone, because this is a way to engage with the country, engage with our fans. And we hope, obviously, we will have also a Turkish team present at the Final Four. I mentioned Europe. Let me focus on Americas. It's a young, innovative platform, 3 years old. We have 7 countries, including Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, Puerto Rico, Nicaragua, and Canada. 12 teams, I mentioned some of them already, with Flamengo, Boca Juniors, National. 5 months of competition, we start in December, and obviously plus 40 plus games. This is also another very strong platform that we've launched under very difficult times, as everyone is aware, but that is actually growing year after year. And the winner is actually playing against the winner of the Basketball Champions League and the winner of the Basketball African League in the FIBA Intercontinental Cup, which I will, for the sake of this presentation today, rename the Basketball Club World Cup. This is obviously what is the FIBA Intercontinental Cup. Bringing together some of the best national teams, national clubs from across the globe. Provide fun all over with entertainment, highly competitive games, and competition. The FIBA Intercontinental Cup will happen this year in 2022 in Cairo, Egypt, from the 11th and the 13th of February. And we'll have obviously 4 teams represented. We have Burgos, who won the Basketball Champions League Europe, Flamengo, who won the Americas competition, Lakeland Magic with the NBA G League winner, and Zamalek, the home team that won the first Basketball African League. That is obviously a strong competition, and we look forward to having more teams in the future when we add more territories. I think it's important nowadays, and it's not even important, it's critical or mandatory when you talk obviously about a male competition to have also your women competition. It is essential. I mean, diversity, inclusion, this is what we want, and this is what brands like you want as well. And on that front, FIBA, obviously through FIBA Europe, is actually managing the premier women basketball competition in the world, in Europe, and arguably in the world. I mean, we're featuring the world best players. A number of players obviously playing the WNBA during the summer comes in Europe to play the EuroLeague Women. 9 countries, 16 teams. There's 7 months of competition with a Final Four in April and 100+ games. This is a very entertaining, very high competitive event. I think that's important that we recognize it and that we promote it. We actually launched for the first year a brand campaign around the EuroLeague Women called Proudly Women. I mean, to highlight the fact that we are proud of the players, proud of the clubs, proud of the competition. Because they are powerful, they are diverse, they are unique, competitive. This is all the terms that you can qualify for the athletes, the clubs, and the competition. So I think it's important, as we obviously talked about a lot, the Basketball Champions League, Europe, Americas, the Intercontinental Cup, that also we focus on EuroLeague Women. And a great platform as well for brand to be involved. I mentioned EuroLeague Women. I think it's important as well to mention our CSR, or corporate social responsibilities, and the activation that we do. We, Basketball Champions League, are fortunate to be part of FIBA, the world governing body for basketball, and therefore to benefit from, obviously, the FIBA ecosystem, the FIBA activities. And there is obviously what it calls the FIBA Foundation, organizing a program which is called Basketball for Good. It's to use the power of basketball to initiate positive change in the world. But better than I speak about it, I think it's actually interesting to have a quick video of one of our ambassadors speaking about Basketball for Good. So let me play the video.
I cannot be holding on to something that cannot be changed. So it was up to me to fly or to fall. My parents gave me away, so I felt unwanted, and I had no purpose in this life. Yeah.
Go!
When you educate a woman, you educate a nation. It's a quote from Nelson Mandela, by the way.
So as you can see from the video, I mean, we have quite important social responsibility program. And there are three pillars for it. There's the community impact, and obviously an example of Namibia, but there's other countries where we're involved in. There's the youth leadership, and we have a global youth leader program that is important and engaged with youth. And then mini basketball to promote the game of basketball to kids across Europe. I mentioned we were looking, obviously, with the brand, finding the right partners. It's important, and even for brand side, to be involved on the court, but also off the courts. And that's why social responsibility programs are key. Because you need to obviously be part of the story, and we need to build what makes sense and what is customized for you, but something that works on the court as well as off the court. So let me now focus briefly on audience and engagement in the time that we have, in the remaining time that we have. And obviously you see some photos of the players of Pina, Kashaka, and Tofash here. I think it's important to look at basketball overall. And basketball in Europe, as well as in the Americas, have an enormous base. There's over 75 million basketball fans in Europe. And as you can see from the slide, Turkey is well represented with over 25 million. This is obviously huge. And there's a great opportunity finding, obviously, the right programs. We also have Spain, that is a strong market. Italy, Greece, France, Germany. So there's, again, a number of elements. What is interesting about the fans, in terms of the demographics, is they are young. Younger than other sports, with obviously 30% being between 16 and 24. Also, in terms of gender equality, while we're not at gender equality level, we're not 50-50, we're actually 60-40, it's still a lot better than in other sports. And something that we are proud to communicate about as we talked about the EuroLeague women. In the Americas, in terms of basketball fan, there's over 300 million basketball fans in the Americas. And it's interesting because the gender as well as the age seems to be very similar as in Europe. So there's a pattern, obviously, around the world of the basketball fan and what is a basketball fan. And actually, I think it's important to spend some time on the attributes of basketball and the profile of the basketball fan. We've done a lot of survey up until 2019, and we are actually doing survey as well post the pandemic that we lived through. But key highlights and key terms that are tied with basketball: dynamic, exciting, global, useful, fun. This is great terms, and this is, I think, why as well there's a lot of association, emotion tied to basketball. And I do believe that as brand, this is also what you are looking for. In terms of fan profile, and being both in Europe or in Americas, what we see is that they are well educated, higher than the average population. They are younger with higher income than the average population. And they are opinion leaders. They do have strong opinion, which is a great thing, but it's also something that put us obligation and responsibility to do the right thing, to have the right partners. Because if we don't do that, then obviously we will hear about our fans. I talked about the audience, the fans. I think it's important to understand as well our reach. There is a basketball team in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors, that uses a tagline, strength in numbers. I'm sure if you're familiar with basketball, you've heard about it quite at length. Well, this could be our tagline as well at the Basketball Champions League. Because I mentioned, we are a team made with and for the league and the clubs. So we work with them. And if you look at the pie, look at the ecosystem that I showed previously, you can see that it's actually important to work with all those organizations. If I take Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as we're in the process of launching on TikTok account, we have 3.5 million for Europe and America's followers, users on social media. What is interesting is then, if you add the participating league, again in Europe and Americas, you have another 3 million plus without duplication. And then, if you add the teams, that's again another layer. I'm not even mentioning the player here, which we know they have an important fan base. So if you look at the whole, this is actually quite interesting because you can amplify your message, you can work with, obviously, the Basketball Champions League, but then with the clubs participating in the Basketball Champions League, as well as the league that are our partners in there. So again, the more players being involved, the more ways it is to amplify your message. In terms of audience in 2020, I mean, we had 180 million plus cumulative total views, 26 million just for cumulative live viewership, and 45 million cumulative sport news viewership. What is interesting on that slide are not actually the front row numbers. That's not the one I'm looking at. The one I'm looking at, actually the smaller one just below, which has the 45% year-on-year growth, viewership growth. That is, I mean, great, and this is what we're looking at. As I mentioned, we're still young. 5 years, I mean, 6 seasons this year. So it's important to see the growth and the fact that we are keep growing, and we're not obviously stopping. 20% of year-on-year live viewership, and 60% for the sport news growth. So again, that's some of the number that is important to have, because I'm sure 2021 will be even better. I think the last slides that I will obviously cover there on my side is the TV partners and the TV broadcast deal that we have across Europe. I know there's a session by TV Boost Sports and looking forward to that session later in the day. Obviously, they are a strong media partners of us, and we are pleased, obviously, with them. We have DAZN in Spain, Cosmote in Greece, which is also the home of the NBA. We have RAI in Italy, Start in Russia, etc., etc. So I hope that the presentation I just did give you an overview of what is the Basketball Champions League, or the competition has been growing, or actually the competition is important in Turkey, as well as in other European and other territories, like in Americas. I think I will finish it up here because as we talked at that Brand and Sports Summit, and there's a number of brands around, it's important on our side to partner with the right companies, to have a customized approach with some of your brands, to look at what we can do together, because what we're looking at is actually a partner, not a sponsor. It may be a small difference in terms of the term, but we want a partner that will invest with us to grow the game of basketball, that will invest with us in our men and women's competition, that will invest with us in our CSR activities, all in a tailored approach. So I think that's why I encourage you, I mean, obviously, to come speak with me at any time today after the presentation, or by email. You have obviously the details on the slide, benjamin.gauthier@championsleague.basketball, to talk about what we can do together to actually create the future of basketball club competition. Looking forward to actually discussing further and meeting with you at the appropriate time. And I really wanted to thank you very much for your time today. Thank you very much.